What do you do when the world tells you your dream is a joke? Elliot Carter stood in the freezing garage, his breath visible in the January air, clutching a sledgehammer like it was his last lifeline. At 29, he'd walked away from a stable tech job, a cozy apartment, and the approval of everyone he knew to chase a vision no one else could see, turning his parents' dusty, spider-infested garage into a luxury suite that could rival a five-star hotel. His friends laughed. His sister called it a midlife crisis a decade early. Even his parents, whose house the garage belonged to, gave him pitying looks as he hauled his mattress onto the concrete floor. "You're throwing your life away," his father had said, shaking his head. But Elliot saw something else. He saw sleek marble countertops, floor-to-ceiling windows, and a space that screamed sophistication. He saw a portfolio that could launch his design career. Most of all, he saw proof that he wasn't the failure everyone seemed to think he was. The first weeks were brutal. The garage was a maze of rusted tools, cracked drywall, and a leaky roof that turned every rainstorm into a personal attack. Elliot taught himself plumbing, electrical work, and carpentry through YouTube tutorials, his hands blistered and his bank account dwindling. He worked late into the night, fueled by coffee and sheer stubbornness. The neighbors complained about the noise. His ex-girlfriend texted, "You're living like a hobo. Come back to reality." One night, as he wrestled with a stubborn pipe, the doubts hit hardest. What if they were right? What if this was a delusional pipe dream? He sank to the floor, head in his hands, the weight of every mocking laugh crushing him. That's when he heard a soft knock. It was Mrs. Delgado, the elderly widow from next door. She stood in the doorway, clutching a thermos of soup, her eyes kind but sharp. "You're making a racket, kid," she said, but her tone was warm. She stepped inside, surveying the chaos. "My husband built our house with his hands. Everyone called him crazy too." She handed him the thermos and a faded photo of a young couple in front of a modest but beautiful home. "He proved them wrong. You will too." Her words were a spark. Elliot threw himself back into the work, but now with a quiet ally. Mrs. Delgado brought him meals, shared stories of her husband's struggles, and even helped him pick paint colors. Her belief in him was a lifeline, pulling him through the darkest moments. Then came the twist that nearly broke him. 6 months in, with the suite finally taking shape, polished floors, custom lighting, a stunning glass shower, the city inspector arrived. A neighbor had reported unpermitted construction. The inspector's verdict was a gut punch. The electrical wiring didn't meet code. He'd have to tear out half the walls and start over, or the project would be shut down. Elliot stood in the gutted garage, staring at the exposed wires, his dream in tatters. The cost to fix it would wipe out his savings. He could hear the laughter now, louder than ever. He grabbed a hammer, ready to smash the nearest wall in frustration, when his phone buzzed. It was a voicemail from an unknown number. "Mr. Carter, I'm with Architectural Digest. Mrs. Delgado sent us photos of your project. We'd love to feature it in our Rising Designers issue, but we need it finished in 3 months. Are you in?" The call was a lifeline, but the deadline was impossible. Elliot didn't sleep for days, working around the clock to rewire the suite, hire a licensed electrician with his last dollars, and beg suppliers for discounts. Mrs. Delgado rallied the neighborhood, and to his shock, people he'd never spoken to showed up: plumbers, painters, even his skeptical father, wielding a drill with a gruff, "Let's get this done." The final night was chaos. Elliot raced to install the last fixtures as the magazine's photographer was due at dawn. His hands shook, his vision blurred, but he kept going, driven by every doubter he'd prove wrong. As the sun rose, he stepped back, heart pounding. The garage was gone. In its place was a breathtaking suite, warm wood paneling, plush furnishings, and a skylight that bathed the room in golden light. The Architectural Digest feature went viral. Offers poured in: design contracts, TV interviews, even a book deal. His friends stopped laughing. His sister framed the article. His parents hosted a neighborhood party in the suite, their pride louder than any apology. Elliot stood in the doorway, watching the crowd, a quiet smile on his face. Mrs. Delgado caught his eye and raised her glass. He raised his back, knowing she'd seen it all along. Dreams don't come easy, but they're worth every blister, every doubt, every sleepless night. Yendi.